Farafina Putin. Goïta. Assimi. Moi toriga manganja matira sama baliga mijila. Goïta. Goïta. Bela belende. Assimi. 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 Assimi.
Welcome to Talk of Africa 360, your source for insightful news, analysis, and thoughtful commentary. If you value informed perspectives and fact-based reporting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is based on reliable public sources and credible online information. It is intended strictly for educational and analytical purposes. We do not promote or endorse political violence, hate speech, or any form of discrimination. Our goal is to inform, not to inflame. Thanks for being here. Let's stay informed together.
In the heart of West Africa, a quiet revolution is unfolding. Mali, a country long entangled in the struggles of empire, terrorism, and foreign interference, is making a bold choice. First, it cut ties with France. Then, it welcomed Russia. Now, even that chapter is closing. But this isn't chaos, it's a transformation. One inspired by a new wave of African leadership and a bold vision of sovereignty, self-reliance, and unity. It began with France, and then it was Russia. One by one, Mali is stepping away from powerful foreign alliances and the world is taking notice. Just a few years back, Mali invited Russian forces after cutting ties with its former colonizer. Now, even that partnership is fading. This isn't just a series of political changes, it's part of a broader ideological shift, one that some are calling Traore's revolution, named after the young burkina leader Ibrahim Traoré, who is urging African nations to reclaim their sovereignty. So how did we arrive at this moment? Why is Mali distancing itself from these global powers? And what could this mean for the wider Sahel? This is not instability, it's a transformation, a quiet yet powerful reawakening across the African continent. Mali's history runs deep, home to the ancient empires of gold, culture, and wisdom. But its modern journey has been marked by coups, conflict, and foreign intervention. After gaining independence from France in 1960, Mali tried to chart its own course. But years of military rule and civil unrest followed. Then, in 2012, the north erupted in rebellion. Tuareg fighters demanded their own state, extremist groups moved in, towns fell. Sharia law was imposed, Mali was on the brink. Mali's roots stretch back to the days of the mighty Mali Empire, a flourishing civilization known for its gold culture and scholarship. That legacy of resilience carried into the nation's modern history, especially after gaining independence from France in 1960. But the path forward has never been easy. From military coups to regional unrest, Mali has endured decades of turbulence, particularly in the vast and often neglected north. During the early 1990s, General Moussa Traoré's authoritarian rule was finally brought down by mass protests, especially by students demanding change. His fall led to a democratic transition, and Alpha Makonari became the country's first elected president. Malians saw democracy not as a foreign idea, but as a return to a homegrown principle, marasa, or the idea of bringing power back to the people. Still, democracy struggled. In 2012, a rebellion in the north, led by the Tuareg people, erupted into chaos. Their quest for an independent state as would opened the door for extremist groups like Ansar Dine and Al-Qaeda to seize control, imposing brutal rule and Sharia law. The international community responded. France launched a military mission, the UN deployed peacekeepers. Together, they fought to stabilize the country. But years passed, and peace never truly came. Many Malians began to ask, are these foreign forces here to help us or to control us? Faced with fragmentation, Mali sought international help. France launched Operation Serval, later transitioning to the larger Operation Barkhane. The United Nations deployed peacekeepers under MINUSMA initially. These missions regained lost ground. But over time, Malian citizens began to question the motives of these foreign presences. Was France truly helping or preserving its influence? By 2020, public anger reached a boiling point. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was accused of corruption and incompetence. Protests swept the streets. The military stepped in not once, but twice. Colonel Assimi Goïta emerged as the new leader, vowing to reclaim Mali's independence and dignity. Goïta turned away from France and welcomed Russia. But not the Russian state directly, instead Wagner, a private military group with a reputation for power, brutality, and controversy. Wagner brought firepower, training, presence. Together, they pushed back insurgents and secured major cities, but there was a cost. Goïta's government pivoted away from France and embraced Moscow. In 2021, Mali welcomed the Wagner Group, a private Russian military contractor already active in places like Syria and the Central African Republic. In return for military assistance, Wagner often gained access to local resources. Roughly 1,000 Wagner operatives arrived with weapons, advisors, and promises to strengthen Mali's military. Together, they secured major cities and pushed back insurgents. It was a tactical victory, but behind the scenes, a darker story unfolded. Reports of human rights abuses began surfacing. In the town of Moro, Wagner operatives and Malian soldiers were accused of killing hundreds of civilians. More allegations followed. Wagner's presence began to contradict the very ideals of independence and national dignity Goïta had promised. The growing backlash led to a quiet break. In June 2025, Wagner announced their departure, claiming their job was done. But in reality, Mali's leadership had made the decision they wanted a new kind of partnership, one that aligned with their long-term vision. Instead of relying on mercenaries, Mali welcomed Africa Corps, a new Russian government-led initiative. Unlike Wagner, Africa Corps is state-run and focused on building capacity, not just winning battles. They provide training, modern equipment, and logistical support, empowering Mali's forces to secure the country on their own terms. It's not just about war, it's about independence. And then everything shifted. In 2025, Wagner announced their withdrawal. Officially, the mission was over. But in truth, Mali had made a decision. No more private armies, no more mercenaries. Instead, Mali welcomed Africa Corps, a new, state-backed initiative from Moscow. The goal, capacity building. Respect for sovereignty, no strings attached. This strategic pivot coincides with a broader regional movement. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have formed the Alliance of Sahel States, a regional bloc committed to African-led solutions. At the heart of this vision is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary leader from Burkina Faso. Traoré champions the idea that Africans must manage their own resources, build their own armies, and shape their own futures without depending on former colonizers or global superpowers. His message resonates strongly, especially with the youth. In Mali, Goïta sees Traoré not just as a partner, but as an ideological ally. The transition from Wagner to Africa Corps is a clear reflection of this shared philosophy. With Africa Corps now in the picture, Mali is accelerating its efforts to build a professional, independent army. From Bamako to Kidal, troops are receiving new training, modern gear, and the confidence to defend their homeland without external dominance. This is the practical side of Traoré's revolution, moving from dependency to autonomy, and it's not just Mali that's changing. The Alliance of Sahel States is fostering deeper cooperation on everything from security to economic development. By supporting each other, these nations are breaking the cycle of foreign dependency. Mali's approach is becoming a model partner with global allies on your own terms, while always keeping national interest at the center. Even as it strengthens regional ties, Mali is expanding its global outreach. Russia remains a key ally, but Mali is also deepening relations with China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates. These countries are investing in infrastructure, agriculture, and education not as occupiers, but as equal partners. This opens new possibilities for Mali's future roads, schools, clean water, and self-sustaining industries, all under Malian control. What's happening in Mali is bigger than any one country. It's about a generation rising across the Sahel, young people, full of ideas and ambition, want a future built on dignity and ownership. From the vibrant musicians in Bamako to the scholars in Timbuktu, Mali is bursting with talent and potential. Now, with the right support and vision, that energy can be channeled into building a thriving, self-reliant nation. Mali's evolution from French intervention through Russian partnership to sovereign control marks a major milestone in the African story. It's a shift from being shaped by outside powers to charting a course from within. With the support of Africa Corps, the alliance of neighbouring countries, and the influence of leaders like Traore, Mali is writing a new chapter, one defined by strength, pride, and independence. This isn't the end of foreign relations, it's the beginning of balanced ones. A future where Malians control Mali's destiny. And it may just be the spark that reshapes the entire Sahel. This is not the end of foreign relations, it's the start of balanced ones. A future where African nations rise on their own terms. Mali has chosen its path, and the world must now catch up. The world is watching, some doubt, some fear. Others quietly admire, but one thing is certain. A new chapter has begun in the Sahel, and Mali is writing it. This is not just about Mali, it's about an entire region standing up. Saying no to foreign dependency, and yes to self-determination. Wagner is gone, Africa Corps is here. But most importantly, Mali is in charge of Mali.
As reactions continue to pour in from across the continent, one thing is clear. Africa is demanding respect, sovereignty, and accountability. Was this just a diplomatic misstep or a deeper sign of shifting global alliances? We'll be watching closely. If you found this story important, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered African news. This is Talk of Africa 360, telling the stories that matter.